Okay, so welcome to Reco12, our special podcast now live in the Afro-Euro Timezone. This is great. It's a game changer. We have a lot of interesting projects. We have our Reco12 weekly Big Book podcast that dives into the Big Book. We have an upcoming series that I'm working on called Parenting in Recovery. I think some of you will enjoy that. And I invite you to reach out to me. I will put my number in the chat. If anyone wants to message me with anything, let me do that now. Okay. We're going to be talking about mothering in recovery, fathering in recovery, teenagers in recovery. Yes, that's something I have coming up. And Reco12 has a bunch of great stuff going on all the time, including our Noodle It Out with Nikki on Mondays at 4 p.m. I highly recommend you join. Let me get you some of the instructions. Our goal here is to spread the light of recovery and recovery health to all those that are suffering. We want more recovery out there. We come from different programs, different addictions, afflictions. Many of us work the Big Book, but if you're interested in sharing and work a different program, I really invite you to reach out to me. Similarly, let's see here. We have a number of podcasts that have been recorded on the Reco12 website, and you could go check that out. At reco12.com/support. You could donate there. You can share a 2 to 3 minute live share and any number of things. So that's a really great option. I'm not able to cut and paste here. That is so weird. So if anyone wants to put in the chat, reco12.com support, that is the link to pay. You can give contributions with PayPal or Venmo and support this great project that shares real life recovery information and solutions using the Big Book of AA. We try to apply the Big Book of AA to our real life problems and issues. And you could subscribe to our podcast as well. Okay, let's see, is Nadia here? She is here. Okay. Let's promote her to panelist. Let's allow her to talk. Okay, Nadia, without further ado, well, let me share her little bio with you here. Nadia, maybe you want to turn on your camera. Everybody could see me and you. We can't see them and they can't see each other. Anyone who has a question while Nadia will share with us will be able to share that in the chat. You'll see in the chat there's a Q&A, and I will take those questions. Jot down your questions while Nadia speaks. Nadia is an absolute Big Book nerd. She says that about herself. I think she's really cool. She stays close to her higher power, who she calls God, and performs his work well. She owes her life to Alcoholics Anonymous. Hey, sister, love you. Look beautiful. She's beautiful inside and out, people. That's what we do. We straighten out physically, spiritually, and mentally. So she says that she owes her life to Alcoholics Anonymous, intensive sponsorship, and the magic of the 12 steps. She was a meeting maker who would not and could not accept the simple solution offered that was placed at her feet. When she did, I have the chills, she got to witness an age of miracles and got to recreate her life. Today, Nadia does a lot of service. She sponsors people. And if you have a question on your own program or on sponsoring, which you better be doing if you're an addict like me, you should reach out to Nadia. Nadia, maybe you'll put your number in the chat later, not while you're driving. I hope you're not driving. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to mute myself here. And beyond what I've shared, if you want to share anything special about yourself and your topic, what it was like and what it's like now, and anything else you got in there about working the steps. And like we like to say, my mentor and fellow Nikki says, this is a 12-step program, not an 11-step program. So hopefully she'll be sharing with us about the work she's done and that 12 step that so many people forget, which is working with others and spreading the message of AA and how that's the real game changer here. Go for it. You're on, babe.
Hello, my love. It's so great to see your face, and it's so amazing to be here. Oh, man, my name is Nadia Jackson. I'm a recovered alcoholic, and with all the love and all the thanks in my heart to this amazing, loving family, dedicated, devoted sponsorship, and you guys that brokered my relationship to an almighty, loving Father of the heavens and earths. I was separated. Oh, thank God, I was separated from alcohol, mind-altering substances, men, thinking, you name it, like all the everything. It's across all the afflictions, right? I was separated from that on the 20th of June, 2020. So that's not my first sober date, unfortunately. My first one would have been 14th of December, 2014. But like Karen said, I came in here and I did it my way because I am I'm an example of, extreme self-will run riot. And I just didn't want to take the suggestions. I thought, you know what, actually, let me just ease up. I don't have to be that hard on myself. I thought I was doing the 12-step program because it was hanging on the wall. And I was reading the 12 steps. And I was like, right, so that's the 12 steps. And we were reading the 12 promises of working step 9. And I was willing those promises to come true in my life and hoping that the steps would then happen. I think that's what was going on, guys, because, within 3 years, just like our brother Fred in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, the book that saved my life, Fred says there wasn't a cloud on the horizon, and I picked up a drink.
We lost you for a sec.
I'm still with you.
Cloud on the horizon. Go back.
No cloud on the horizon, and I picked up that drink. I had I have a threefold disease, right? I have a mind that tells me I can drink like other people. I have a mind that tells me it's going to be okay next time. But then I have this allergy. The minute I put something in, the craving kicks off. I don't crave alcohol and drugs and men. It's when I got that stuff inside of me, there's this craving, and it'll take me to oblivion, because that's actually what I want, to be honest with all of you. That's actually what I want, because I've never really loved myself. I've never really liked myself. I've been trying to get rid of myself for as long as I can remember. And, the amount of substances that I've put into my body and the amount of men that I've put into my body, you would think that I'd wake up the next morning and I would be gone, because that was actually my secret wish. And then I would wake up and there I'd still be. And, when you come to the end, like Bill says, that morass of self-pity that spreads out around us, and we know loneliness like few do. Us alcoholics, we know loneliness. And that feeling of, oh my God, just lost and gone. And the slow suicide attempt is just not working anymore. That magic elixir of life, alcohol, the first time I put it into my body at the age of 14, oh my God, I thought the heavens had opened. I could hear the angels singing, and I was like, this is the deal. Like, I want more of that. And I turned my back on God that day. But when I came to the end of it, it had stopped working. No more angels were singing. There was no more freedom. There was no more, the promises, like there would be no more financial insecurity. I had none of those worries when I drank. But at the end, it stopped. It stopped working. It turned its back on me. And I remember at the end taking that, oh my God, that excitement. And I say drink, but please remember there's lots of substances that are part of my story, but I'm going to keep talking about drink. It's just the simplest, quickest thing to say. When I thought about taking that first drink, everything inside of me would start clapping hands, because I just knew that this inside-outside skin of mine would then feel right upside down. It would feel right. This mind of mine would still. It was my solution. It was my magic elixir, guys. But you know what? You know what would happen near the end? I'd take that sip and it would dawn on me, it's not going to work. And I knew that I was done. I would be done only when that bottle was done with me. Only when that drink was done with me. I had no choice now. But then the loneliness was worse. The fear would settle. Oh man, that end. I don't wish that on my worst enemy. But then there's some more despair in this story. 18 months in the rooms, and I'm sitting in the meetings and I'm going, why do I not look like these people? Why do I not talk like these people? You know, it says in the book that the alcoholic will come to a point where he cannot live with alcohol or without alcohol. He will be at the jumping off point. There's nothing like that. Sitting in these rooms and you are like, and I was sitting there going, I want to die. I want to die. And I was being woken up at 2:00 in the morning. In the old days, it used to be, you know, I mean, we drank enough alcohol to put an elephant down, right? But we'd wake up at 2 in the morning. We'd wake up, guys. You would imagine all that alcohol that we drank, we'd sleep for days, but we didn't sleep for days because we're not like normal people. We're bodily and mentally different to other people. We react and respond to alcohol differently. But the problem is at 18 months sober with not a drop of nothing in me, just going to meetings, because that's what everyone is saying. Just keep coming to meetings and it'll happen. Don't quit before the miracle happens. Phone somebody before you want to pick up a drink. And I was doing this at the expense of my sanity. And then the 2:00 thoughts were waking me up. And that voice, that liar in my head was saying to me, you're not good enough. Not even the freaking program of AA is working for you, honey. Sorry. You know, like when I felt like when I was a kid, when I would look at that amazing, brave spiritual gangster that died on a cross for us, or for, you know, the story tells us, even his blood couldn't save me. Like, because I was such a bad kid, you know, I was told that if you lie and steal, by then I'd done lots more, that you'd go to hell. So I was like, well, I'm screwed. You know, I don't even get to have the salvation that everyone else has apparently promised. And here I am sitting in the rooms of AA wanting to die. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I've been lost in the queue here for everything. It's better off that I'm not here. But I didn't have the courage. To make that ultimate sacrifice. But I know that it would have come because I'm powerless. You know, lack of power is my dilemma. And those thoughts would have overpowered me. I know they would have. And you know what? I begged God one morning. I begged him. I had a 3rd step prayer. My sponsor, she told me to do stuff that I was just like, I did them. Like my life depended on it with the desperation of a drowning man. And that morning, tired, I hadn't slept, these crazy thoughts. Again, I'm feeling not part of everything because that is the earliest memory of my life, is not feeling part of. And I'm sitting under this tree and I'm like, God, I offer myself to thee. You know, here I am again. And I just prayed my 3rd step prayer. And guys, you know what happened when I opened up my eyes? I swear I had Polaroid lenses in my eyes. I could see brighter and hear brighter. And I knew things were going to be okay. But I also knew that I had to do everything. In that book. And I had to find somebody who knew that book. I had to find someone who was armed with the facts, whose whole department shouted to me that they had a solution. And I went to every AA meeting and I just scanned, and I listened, and I found someone and I reached out, and she drove 2 hours on a motorbike and she carried the message to me. She made the approach to me. And that's what we got to do, right? This is a 12-step program. We don't sit and wait for people to say, I need a sponsor. I didn't even know I had a hand to raise, people. I didn't even know where the raise hand option was in these rooms. And you're telling me to raise my hand if I need a sponsor? No. We make the approach, and they made the approach, and they came to me that weekend and they opened that book to me. Where's it? Where's my book? Here it is. They opened it to me. And you know what happened? Sparks flew out. Boink! Magical, life-giving sparks flew out. I had a massive spiritual experience that weekend. It's the only white light experience. I'm hoping for some more because the rest has been educational. Because I'm self-over and riot, guys. I'm sorry. You know, I'm selfish, self-centered. That is the root of my trouble. That is the root of my trouble. Like, that is the root of me. It feeds me. And it's through this book. And
we're going to get you some Reco12 sparks. I'm going to pray that you get some sparks as a courtesy of sharing with us on this meeting. Go on.
Yay. And yeah, I had the blessing, I had the blessing of big book sponsorship. Oh, and they brokered my relationship with God, and I got to find God. But then again, I was balking. And I wasn't sponsoring. I was phoning people and sending little heart emojis, and newcomers would come to the room and I put their name on the WhatsApp groups. Like, I thought that was me doing my job until, Karen, you and I know, our fierce mama hen, when she got a hold of me and she was like, "What are you doing in a 12-step program? And you are not carrying the message like someone did for you. What are you doing?" And I was like, right, I got you. And I needed someone to speak hard to me. God knew what I needed. He always knew what I needed. He gave me this beautiful, soft-spoken, my first big book sponsor. Oh God, she was such a heavenly creature. And then he gave me my dear sponsor over in America. And he's just such a gentle, old school, gentle soul. And then I got this Navy SEAL officer who said to me, "You need to get your bum off where you're sitting and go get sponsoring." And that's when the real magic happened. Because you know what? I got to witness miracles. I got to witness these solo people come to me with gray skins, hanging on by the skin of their teeth, dying, bleeding out. And I did nothing. I rocked up. I prayed. I said, "God, make me a channel. Flow your power through me, and let me just talk to this person out of this book. Let's just follow the instructions." That's all we do. We just follow the instructions. Clear cut. There ain't no guesswork here. There ain't no guesswork. It took me 7 years. It took me 7 long, miserable years, and I lost everything. I lost my 2 small children. They're not dead. Well, the one is back home with me. The other one, not now. Now's not the time. Now's not the time for him to be with me. But that's okay. I'm taking care of God's kids, and he's going to take care of mine. The gratitude, Karen, the gratitude's just flowed in, sister. Now I've run out of words here, because that's what happens when I think of, we don't pick up no matter what. When they say that, what they mean is, what they meant is, we are connected to a power that will carry us through certain trials and low spots if we stay close to him and perform his work well. Not perfectly. We're not asking you to get 5 gold stars here. We're asking you just to perform his work well and stay close to him. Talk to fellows in this program. Do your work. Pray. Meditate. And when you're connected to that power, you're going to be able to do things. I love my favorite promise in the whole book. Well, there's many, but is God, we will come to see that God will do for us what we could not do for ourselves. And when my kids were taken from me the first time I went out, guys, I went out and I almost killed myself. The second time my child was taken from me, I was deeply entrenched in this program, deeply boots to the ground, towing the line, eyeballs deep in this program. And I've got love for the Father. I've got compassion because you taught me how to exercise that, because I have a reprieve contingent on the fitness of my spiritual program, that spiritual muscle that I never had. You all taught me how to do this stuff. You taught me how to walk and talk and be kind and tolerant, because that's our code. And I love you all. I love you guys. Even if I haven't met you, I love you, because we're not of this world. We're in the spirit realm. We're brothers and sisters out there. And we're out here carrying the message. And it's, we all know what hell looks like, feels like, tastes like, smells like. But we sure know what it's like to be rocketed into a 4th dimension. We get to see much of heaven. Promise you that. I promise. I love you. And thank you so much for letting me share here today. Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Wow. Sparks are flying out of my computer, Nadia. Thank you so much. Precious daughter of the King. Everyone can see Nadia. She speaks with a power emanating through her. Physically beautiful, spiritually beautiful, living for others, not her own little plans and designs, like the big book says, with love and compassion for those who may have wronged her. We looked at that in step 4. I'm going to ask some questions. In the meantime, party people, will you please put your questions in the chat? And after I lead in with mine, we'll take some of yours. I see that we're mostly women on this meeting. I encourage men who are listening to the recording version also to connect with Nadia. Maybe put your number in the chat, Nadia, to get guidance on the big book, on your own program, and on sponsoring, and all things spiritual. I took some notes. Let's see, what do I want to start with? Okay, so you talked about, and boy, do I relate, and I'm sure a lot of people on this call relate. You put men drinking, whatever, you stuck that into your system. You know, I see even now in recovering, I could stick kind of to-do lists, tasking, running around. You know, I could even pray and not be connected to God because praying is on my to-do list, right? For some people, it's smoking. Somehow I'll feel kind of blue, so I'll go shopping. You know, something I noticed about my own self, and I'm sponsoring when I'm working this program. I kept checking my bank account the past few days. It's like I'm looking for that elusive effect that, like, what's going to happen, you know, and I have had miracles before, but what, like someone's going to magically deposit 50 grand in my bank. God, I'll take that. Thank you. I'll take even more. But like, I know as an addict that I'm looking, why am I checking my bank account all the time? Why am I checking my WhatsApp? What's going to happen? You know, I'm waiting for the notification that Messiah has come, you know. I mean, we do believe that here in Jerusalem, but I'll leave religious matters out of this. You know, I see that that's something I do as an addict. So what happened? Because, you know, when you put that down, when you're not grabbing for straws or grabbing for the, you know, the mirage, the lake in the middle of the desert that doesn't exist, right? It's real hard that going clean, you know, for alcoholics, it's a delirium tremens. It's really painful. Even though, you know, I once spoke with a therapist, he said, you know, 0 is a higher number than negative 26. But it's just so zero to not have the booze, the men, the shopping, the this. What do you do when you get to that, when you put the stuff down and working your program? Or how did you get to that today when the pain, the loneliness, whatever it was you were trying to stuff down with the men and the booze? Say something about that.
Karen, I got you. So it doesn't stop for me, right? This is not an overnight matter. And we don't claim spiritual perfection. We claim spiritual progress. And step 6 and 7 are 2 steps that we do not talk about enough in these meetings, and we do not record enough shares on them. That is, those 2 steps are the most powerful steps, because every single time I come to those 2, I am through the ringer. Something else is bringing me to my knees. It's the drugs, it's the alcohol, it's the men. 18 months, it's my self-loathing. Then at 2 years, it's my anger. You know, I pick up on a thought, and before I know it, I've got 6 thoughts, and then I'm in a blackout rage of anger. And I come to, and I've got my whole family looking at me going, you're a psycho. You need to get out of our house. And I'm like, oh my God, please. And it's oh my creator, please, I am now willing that you shall have all of me, good and bad. You know what's good and bad. I don't know. And this is the thing, Karen, this disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. I don't even know what's the next thing I'm going to pick up on. And I love what you shared about that, checking the bank account all the time. It's my new thing as well, because just recently I was brought to my knees because I'm busy snarfing my daughter, my teenage daughter. I'm trying to control her. She's not doing what I'm doing. She's not like me. And I'm going nuts with control, nuts, until I had a blackout Saturday night. And when I came to, there's this teenage daughter of mine going, I don't know who you are. And I'm going to be the only big book she meets. What the hell am I doing? Back down again, another abandon myself utterly. I was on my knees crying. I was like, I can't even see that side of me. That was the scariest thing about this. We have a mental blank spot, guys. We got to stay plugged in all the time. My sister Rachel G said the other day, she literally can't even get a new phone without praying. We have to be in constant pray. Constant. We are not like normal people.
Wow. I relate. There's so much in what you said there. Parenting, anger, rageaholism. In fact, I think that's how Nadia and I met on this fellowship when I was having a parenting blackout, as you called it, with my own teenage daughter. I think that's how we connected. And Nadia, I'm working on a, mothers in recovery kind of little project down the line. You're lined up for that. Yeah. This is not a joke. I know we have a lot of mommies on this call. We have some awesome questions. But yeah, we cannot do anything without prayer. I met a bunch of women in my community this morning and exercise, and they're like, I'm going to post about exercise. And one of them said, I'm going to post about a neighborhood event. And I said, I think I'm going to put Psalm 27, which we say before Rosh Hashanah, the holiday, the new year here in Israel. And they're like, yeah, we'll leave the spiritual stuff to you, Karen. And I thought, yes, you leave that to me, because that is my job. That is my full-time 24/7 job as an addict. And it's her job too, even though she's in Israel and she ain't Jewish. We people who would not normally mix come together and we love each other. That is our job. I love that, what Rachel G said. I can't even buy a phone without praying. Yeah. I pray about what to make for lunch. Is it going to be chicken or split pea soup? God, show me the next right step or action. We have a question on here, and I think I'm going to meld it with a question I wrote down. I love that you mentioned that you had an amazing God-sent sponsor who came over to bring you a big book and the solution. And then you spoke about, we're in the Army now, having a Navy SEAL sponsor, that tough love. And then you spoke about this man who's a gentleman, who's your sponsor now. And it's funny because, well, it's heaven sent. Someone asked a question. I put it in the Q&A on the chat. Someone is scared to connect with a sponsor. They're an anonymous person. They're scared to connect with a sponsor. They're afraid they're going to control, manage, and manipulate. Now, I'm going to chime in on this, and then I really want to hear what Nadia has to say, because I also came across some people who use their 12-step program to power trip. And, either they didn't work with me or I parted ways with them. This program, as Nadia mentioned the term, you guys broker my relationship to God. A good sponsor is your broker to God and working with others. Just the good news is they don't take a broker fee. They're not going to charge you for it. They get paid big time, but by their boss, not by you. And yet, her same grandmama sponsor is one of my key mentors, and that talking truth. Karen, you got to stop this. You got to pray. Karen, the way you're praying isn't working. Do better. So I wake up earlier, a half hour earlier, or I do something else, or I start meditating. I change it up. Even though I am a religious woman, say I got a hair covering, it's not because it's a dude rag or fashion. That's one of my dress codes. And my sponsor, who's a different religion than me, said, you got to change it up. What can you say about that? The balance, take it how you want, whether it's balancing tough love and TLC, getting a sponsor that is kind but doesn't hug you to death, as we sometimes say in these rooms. Meaning, we if we're in these rooms, we probably have the desperation of a drowning man. And this program works best for those of us who are the most screwed up or the most broken. Talk about tough love, gentle love, and how you use that to work your own program. Because a lot of us need TLC. A lot of us need that pat on the head and the kiss on the cheek.
Karen, I'm gonna just rephrase my language a little bit, because I'm promising myself to, because I'm making this book a working part of my mind, and it doesn't say sponsor in the big book. So I think what it does say on page 87, it says, be quick my beautiful sister with your head covering, I can't wait to talk to you more about this because I want to be quick to see where religious people are at. You've come like a godsend to me. It says here, be quick to see where religious people are right. Suggestions about these. So there are many other books, but this is the basic text. Start here, guys. Start here. Start here with someone who has traveled through these pages, armed with the facts. I'm going to answer your question now. It says suggestions about other books once you get there. But what they are referring to here is a spiritual advisor. And I think that's what we can talk about, when we're talking about a sponsor as a spiritual advisor. And for me, when I first came into these rooms, oh man, I thought what was a sponsor was someone who was cool, and gosh, hello, how sick was I in the beginning when I came in here? I was totally spiritually sick. So what I thought was cool and that's what I wanted. I had no clue what I wanted, man. So I had to take the opposite of what I wanted. But it's very difficult because for me, like that question is like, I'm scared to go to somebody because they might manipulate me. And that's your liar talking to you. I just need to tell you, that's your disease telling you nobody's going to help you. They're all going to want to try and use you. They're all going to want to manipulate you because your liar wants you dead. Okay? There's no, I'm not going to cut nothing. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing here. Our disease wants us alone and it wants us dead. Get to as many Zoom meetings as you can. Listen to who's got what you want. You're sitting there, you're dying. Who's not dying? Who's full of life? Who's full of light? Who's full of love? Who's speaking recovery? Who's speaking solution? Reach out, put your number and say, I need you to call me. That's it. And see what happens, because God is not going to put someone on your path who's going to use and manipulate you. If you really, really have got the desperation of a drowning man, you're going to get the right person, because that's what happens. God hears our call and he puts the right people on our paths. I hope that answers your question. I hope that gives you some courage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to add to what Nadia said. Don't forget you can always leave, because if you're doing what the big book says, like Nadia said, the big book doesn't say sponsor. All you have to do is surrender yourself to God or the higher power of your understanding. If you're doing that and you're in prayer and working your steps and the person doesn't feel right, you can always leave. No one is holding you hostage. You can always leave. You can always pray on it. You can always go to the next right person. I've left people because they were tough. And I've left people because they were just listening to my problems and I saw I wasn't getting any better. I've left people for both reasons, different sponsors over the years. So don't worry. And sometimes it's not just a click. See, we addicts are sensitive people. So hooking up with someone, I don't mean that in a slaw kind of way, hooking up with a sponsor and breaking up with a sponsor, we take those really, really deep and painfully, but we have to lighten up about it. We just have to lighten up and get a little more practical. Is this person helping me get better, get to God, and get to working with others, which is always the ultimate goal. Yes or no? We work a yes or no program. We want to take all that feeling out of it because we addicts are sensitive people. It's very charged. I'll kick it up a notch as sponsors when it's not working out or someone leaves us. Now, if you're only working with one person, that's going to really hurt. You're going to feel like a failure. But if you're just putting your number out there, making the approach, starting with a lot of people, you realize, the big book says most people will not make it, meaning most people will reject your sponsorship, not you, your sponsorship, but that's because they're sick, not because you're bad. Okay, I think we took that one. Start working with someone. Try it out. You could say up front it's a trial period. And again, I highly recommend the Spiritual Gangsters Fellowship because we stick to a workbook. It's not a lot of Q&A. It's not a lot of, shouldn't be, a lot of socializing. It should be a text-based sponsorship. It's not a Karen-based sponsorship. It's not a Nadia-based sponsorship. I'm just your guide through a manual that I have studied deeply. Nothing like her with all her colorful tabs. She puts me to shame. I'm more of a mess. I'm more of a, fly by the seat of your pants kind of, addict. But I let God discipline me, like the big book says. Anyway, you want someone who's going to take you through the texts. And if you sense that they're manipulative, bye. Okay, great. I'm glad we have some more people who joined us. Okay, this is a short question. Let's take this, Nadia. I missed the first part of your share, but I hear your passion in recovery. I'm interested to know which programs you are part of. Fellowships, yeah.
Okay, that's a great question. You know what? I'm just going to answer it with a piece out of the book. It says that God's, what is it? Where is it? Help me, help me, help me. In We Agnostics.
What is it? We do not have a monopoly.
Yeah, I thought about this morning because someone asked me to sponsor them, and they've really been hammering on about what's fellowship I'm in, and I'm like, so you know what? This is the basic text. This book says many times that it will solve our problem. So if it's sex and love, gambling, eating, controlling, coda, whatever is out there. I think there's 300 odd fellowships, 12-step fellowships. Bless them. Thank you, God, for them. They speak a language that'll bring people in. But it says it will solve our problem. I have taken this book and I have taken it to an overeater. I have taken it to a sex and love addict. I have taken it to a Coke addict who's never drank. I've taken it to only an alcoholic. I've taken it to someone whose parents are alcoholics, but she's never touched alcohol, but she's going to kill herself. She's going to put a gun through her mouth because she wants to control. This book has helped them. It's given them the power. This book will solve all your problems. So I'm in Spiritual Gangsters, and we're like Reco12 as well. We do all afflictions anonymous. So I came into the rooms from NA and I found my way into the rooms of AA, and now I'm with Noodle and Spiritual Gangsters. I don't know. It says here, page 46, we found that God does not make too hard terms with those who seek him. To us, the realm of the spirit, because that's where we go, when we take these 12 steps, we move into the realm of the spirit. We're no longer from here. We claim our right as a child of God. Is broad, roomy, all-inclusive. So I'm happy to work with anybody. Doesn't matter what your affliction is, because I got a solution. I got an answer. It's here, right here. I hope that answers your question.
Amazing. I'm going to piggyback on that and say that many of us have secondary addictions, like checking my bank account is not my primary addiction. I came in through OA, then I kind of found my way looking into CODA. I had a slaw sponsor and determined I was, a love addict. But throughout the day, I could see that I'm just a good old addict, when I'm, going with my kids and going shopping, going this and going that, and I'm in my to-do and I'm feeling kind of empty inside and I'm checking my bank account. I know that I'm looking for a hit, even though I'm not a marijuana addict. So the real answer is, like Nadia was suggesting, it doesn't really matter, because whatever fellowship you're in, if you're stuffing something into your brain, into your soul, into your orifices that isn't spiritual, or good for you, like if exercise is my to-do list, that's probably not a bad thing, right? But if you're doing any of that, then there is a solution. And the Big Book of AA, the workbook that we use, helps again direct you to your higher power and to helping other people. Okay. Someone struggling with their teenage son, Nadia. Talk to us about parenting in recovery.
Ooh.
What changed? What's different today? You shared about your blackouts. What's different? What's good?
You know what's different? You know what happened after that blackout? I had a shower the Monday morning, and I remember Nikki's words, STFU, shut up, and obsess about the gratitude. That child was out of my life. She had the wisdom and the knowledge to walk out when I relapsed. She went to where it was safe. She was 9 years old. God's given her everything she needs because she's one of his kids, right? And the problem is, I have a label on her, my daughter. No, I've been playing God my whole life. Stop that Nadia? It's not my daughter. It's Nina, a daughter of the king. She's walking her path. She's going to have a testimony, but she's got to have a couple of tests because Auntie Joyce says there ain't no testimony without a test. And that's what happened Monday morning. I had a shower. I grabbed her towel and I could smell her. And I just breathed her in and I was like, oh my God, this smell might not be in my house one day. Because what does our inventory teach us? What does our fear inventory teach us? That what we fear is what will happen, right? Our problem, sorry, I just want to get this out. So the alcoholic centers, the problem centers in his mind. So I step on the toes of others. They retaliate seemingly without provocation. And then I'm all like nose out of joint. But did I not set that ball rolling? Same thing with Nina. I'm so terrified of losing her. I'm so terrified that she's going to end up sleeping with men and dealing drugs and doing the insane things I did. I'm so terrified of that. And what am I doing? I'm controlling her. I'm manipulating her. I'm enforcing my will on her. I'm telling her what to do. I'm criticizing her. I'm trying to mold her, shape her, like, don't do that, because if I tell her what to do, she might not end up like me. But you know what I'm doing? I'm pushing her away. She's going to go because that's what happens, right? That's what my inventory taught me. My behavior when I'm coming from a place of fear, 100 forms of, in fact, it's 400 forms of weirdness and madness, 100 forms of self-pity, resentment, self-seeking, selfishness. When I'm coming from that place, when I'm getting in the back seat of the car and fear's driving the show, I'm going to end up alone. I'm going to end up alone with the wreckage around me. I'm going to come out of my little tornado cellar and go, hey, Ma, ain't it grand? The wind stopped blowing. But in the meantime, the house is wrecked because I pull my roof down on me. And that's what I'm busy doing with my teenager. I've got to let her go. It's the hardest thing. But you know what? Over and over and over, my Creator, God, I offer myself to thee, all the things I want. Take it from me. You've got my kid. You've got that kid, just like he had me, just like he had you guys. That's why you're here today, right? You're here. He brought us here. Love on them. Love, and tolerance of others is our code. Pray the sick man's prayer for that child.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, I mean, this is unbelievable what you're saying. And even for those of us on the line who might not relate to NA stories or sloth stories, I got a bunch of chubby kids, 4 out of my 6, thank God that I have them, and I'm a single mom. 4 out of my 6 are overweight, and isn't it amazing that every time I tell them that they shouldn't have that chocolate cake, they get a little hungrier, isn't that something? Anytime I say, like, you might not want to drink some sugar drinks, or pour me another, pint of Coke, isn't that just something? And we step on their toes and they retaliate. So isn't it interesting when teenagers are brutal. When she got a haircut and I'm like, oh, you see, it's still long. When I say anything but, oh, it looks great. I get a minefield that I stepped on. A mine blows up in my face. Like she says, we love on them. And you took the words out of my mouth. We really have telepathy. A lot of sick man's prayer for the teens, for the kids, the ADHD, the little ones who might have ADHD, reading the family afterwards, these kids grew up in a family with addiction. They are Al-Anons and untreated at the moment. Like my friend says, your child is an addict, about my overweight ones. Your child is an overeater, but they don't have a program, but you do. So we say the sick man's prayer for them. And we do what Harlan G. From A Vision for You, Readers Anonymous, always says, what is the best thing you could do for your family member? 3 things. Recover, recover, recover. Right? That's what we do for our loved ones who are sick and driving us up the wall. Thank you. We're going to take a last question here, and it's a great one. I love this question. Can you talk about acceptance and prayer? The paradox of acceptance, yet asking God for changes. And then another paradox is and this is a great question for those of us who are active in program, How do you balance nurturing yourself and self-care while being in service? 'Cause sometimes people become service junkies and they don't take care of themselves. Well, I don't have to tell you. How do you balance self-care, which is important? We straighten out mentally and physically once we straighten out spiritually. And how do we balance that? Getting out of ourselves and taking care of ourselves. Thank you.
Remember the key word, we are powerless. We don't balance nothing. We don't. God does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. And like Karen said, when we straighten out spiritually, when that spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out physically and mentally. If you're burnt out from doing too much service, what are your motives? Do a step 4. Do a step 4 on service. Who am I pissed off at? Doing service. Why am I angry? Takes up too much of my time. I'm burnt out. I can't manage my schedule. Too many people ask me. I feel overwhelmed. Don't know who to say no to. I don't know. Step 3. What is being affected? Pride, personal relations, all of them, because you can't sleep with your husband at night. You're freaked out. You're checking your phone all the time. What's going on? Who needs you? How's your calendar tomorrow? You're ready with the kids. You're not present. May you find God now. The shortest little instruction in our book. And for those who say, between balancing prayer and for asking for things to change and acceptance. So here's the kicker, right? On page 47, we need, so not page 47. I just lost the page. I had it for you, and it's, sorry, I only speak out of the book. If I speak anything else, you guys got to throw it out. It says here, we pray, page 87. We ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no request for ourselves only. God knows what we need, guys. We don't need to ask God for changes. We need to accept. Page 417. Acceptance is the key to all our problems. Because when we're praying for our own selfish ends, many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So what you do when you pray, this is what I do. Because Karen, when you opened up, we spoke about prayer and it falls flat. Like that's also one of your things. Like prayer is on the to-do list and it falls flat. I was doing the same because Auntie Joyce, I heard her say something the other day that prayer can be a really autopilot thing and it's just like done, tick, let's get on. Prayer for other people. Pray from here for other people. Not that their lives are better, just praying for them, sending love beams from your heart like a Care Bear. God knows what we need. He knows what we need. He knows what the other kids need. But just to say those people's names, just to say their names, the ones that we hate, our resentment prayer that we've got to do on page 522, just saying their names with love, that's where the power is. That's where the power is. Because then God directs that all over the world. That's what I think. That doesn't come from the big book, but definitely not praying for our own selfish ends. And acceptance. Whoa, that's a biggie. It's a biggie, but there's so much power in that reading. There's so much power. There's no mistakes in God's world. Even this insanity that's around us at the time being. COVID hit. I'm going to end off. Sorry. COVID hit and everyone was like, oh my gosh. And all love and respect for anybody who lost someone during that frightful time. But you know what? They closed our meetings. But you know what happened? Because there's no mistakes, right? Screens came to every single body's home. An AA meeting came to everybody's home and more, and still today. And the big book conscience started taking fire on this planet. So thanks, COVID. Thank you.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we pray for everything. I just had that this morning before this meeting with 15 minutes to go. I was like, my OA program, do I buy some nuts so I can have that as part of my food later? Or do I log on? And I didn't go buy the nuts. I said, sometimes there's technical difficulties. I should go home. It's like, which way to turn, right or left? God help me, got me. That's what May You Find Him Now looks like. This morning, we dropped my little girls off. Should I go upstairs and see my son off? Or should I go get gas? My tank is empty. I was about to turn left to the gas station and cars were coming by and I was like, no, God is not letting me turn. I better go upstairs and cut some cantaloupe for the little guy. It's like, if we're plugged in, may you find him now. He's right there directing our every step. Literally, it was like a AA movie, standing at the intersection. May you find him now. Do I go right or left? So with that, I'm tempted. I'm sorry we're going late, everybody, but I just can't resist. Nadia needs to pray us out, but I can't resist. Nadia, share with us one thing. What has God done for you that you could not do for yourself?
Karen, you know what? I hated my guts for as long as I can remember. I had an identity that was not mine, and he's given me an identity. I'm an intelligence spearhead. You know what that means? We're right in the front. And I'm a child of God. I am so deeply loved and cared and protected. When I saw care and protection in the big book the first time, I sobbed. Because the God I knew wasn't caring and protecting, but the God I found now is caring and protecting. I'm his child. I'm his agent. I'm allowed to act on his behalf and his authority. And I'm his intelligence spearhead. I have an identity. Thank you. Thank you for that, because I can give that to other people. That's my calling now.
Wow. I'm so glad I asked. Wow. I have the chills and some tears. Can you pray us out, sweetheart? Yeah, that's a showstopper.
I just love being in the room with you. We're going to do more of this, my angel. We're going to do more of this. I love you. I love you.
Love you too.
Dear God, it's little old me. Please make me a channel of your peace and your love so that you can work through me, so that we can go help your kids. I love you, Father of light, that preside over us all. Thank you for my life. I love you guys.
Unbelievable. Thank you, Nadia. Have a beautiful day. Everyone who's on this call, take what inspiration, what light you got from our amazing recovery sister, Nadia, and go spread it in the world. Just, I love the Care Bear beams, especially because my name is Karen. I got to get something like that going. So let's spread those rainbows out of our Care Bear hearts. Love you all. Thank you. Feel free to check out the Reco12 website and join us every other Wednesday here in the Afro-Euro Timezone. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
There was a man put his hand by the side of his mouth. He wanted to scream, but the sound never came out. So he reached for the bottle to wash the pain away, 'cause what he wanted so badly was to live a different way. And all of his problems, all of his pain filled up the puddle and rose with the rain. His ship kept on sinking to the bottom of the lake. For certain that he was just a fake. Was a man put his hand by the side of his mouth. And he wanted to share, but only lies ever came out.